vast and powerful. Forgiveness is like a solvent, which once activated has the ability to dissolve all the entanglements that bind people to each other. It has the power to dissolve all the connections that bind people to their past, to experiences, and to memories. Memories that are encoded with emotional and mental information of both a positive and negative nature. When an event or an experience shatters our perception of life, disappoints us, and humiliates us, we act strongly as a defense mechanism, or we bury the impact deep within our inner world. The impact feels real, and our experience is that of hurt, anger, and disappointment. In that moment, when that event occurs with that person over a specific matter, it is as real as it gets. What follows that moment from then on is only a poor photocopy of what once took place. The emotional hurt and anger is stashed out of sight, away, behind the heart, or in other places within the human form. The mind plays out a reoccurrence of events over and over again. Over time, the actual events begin to blur, and some of the details shift and change, especially when the other person tells it differently. We are made to be creators, and there is no limit to our creation, which is based upon our thoughts. We tell the tale of heartache to others who add to the dramatic nature, or we will tell no one and we silently mull it over. We write the narrative and we rewrite it so that we can convince ourselves to hold on to the indignance and judgment. The idea of a bonding moment takes on a new dimension, and we wind our self-image into the narrative, convincing ourselves that the other person who wronged us is the one who must fix us. They are the ones to apologize. They must pay and suffer, and they are unforgivable. When in fact, in so many of these moments, the other person long, long ago forgot the hurt and anger that they caused and moved on with their lives. Or they have such a different perspective on the event that it is as if two completely different tales are being told. It is the emotional charge that was felt in that instant and the picture that the mind took that sets that moment in stone. It begins its arduous journey, being dragged behind like a heavy weight that could never be shaken off or left behind. Eventually the weighted stone and the broken heart bring an end to their story in one way or another, unless somehow the art of forgiveness is evoked. The power within forgiveness is truly remarkable and begins with one step: the willingness to admit that hurt, grief, anger, and so forth that were felt in that moment long ago. The acknowledgement of the impact is often denied. The true impact is suppressed. And the power of honesty does go a long way. Seems like the biggest hurdle until you reach the second step. where you have to take ownership that you allowed yourself to be hurt and angered. You always have a choice. If you don't admit that you had a choice in that moment, you will forever play out the script of the victim carrying a dead weight behind them. You had a choice. It was a different one to the one you made. Accept this, and you have leapt over a large obstacle in your path. And when you think you have overcome the biggest hurdle, you learn that there is a step 3. This is not about blaming the other person. This is about what you believed to be true and what you have been carrying around with you. Their guilt is not in yours and only yours. I learned from my teacher that what I see within another is what I grow within myself. Step 3 is the moment that you make a new choice and you forgive yourself. It begins here and nowhere else. When you have truly accomplished this step, the emotions that have bound you up will be freed, and you will feel a lightness of heart. It is only when you experience this that you know you have been set free of your burden. You cannot cheat this, and you cannot act as if you are free. It doesn't work like that. At step 4, you climb the mountain, the greatest obstacle still to overcome, and you forgive the other person for the part they played. What they did, they will have to account for, but you forgive them for the part that they played. I will speak those words a third time. Forgive them for the part that they played. And lastly, step 5, forgive yourself for making the choices that you made. You're a different person now. You would perhaps do it differently now than then. You did not know any better. Forgive yourself for that. Forgiveness unbinds the heavy heart. It dislodges the grief and hurt stored behind the heart and allows it to be released. If only each individual knew the power that forgiveness brings, for it not only unbinds people from each other's actions, but it liberates every act of miscreation that there is, every ignorant reaction and misunderstood perception. Walking through life then becomes the dance of light-hearted and sure-footed joy.